everybody, it's me, Benito Garcia, the most rad nerd, says so up here, and I'm hanging out with two super cool rad dudes that I just love hanging out with. We don't do it enough, but these guys are fucking awesome. It's Dylan and Tyler, and it's Dylan Hogger, I found out. Tyler Barnes. I've never had to use your last name before, and I finally got an opportunity to.
There you go.
You'll remember this day for the rest of your life.
It's going to be on YouTube forever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ever and ever. So, you guys have a really cool podcast, and I have it up over here. It's called After the Credits. Let me pull it up.
But yeah, my name's Tyler, the co-host of After the Credits, and
Oh, hey, I'm Dylan. No, I like to say Taylor. I like to say that you're the host, like you're the creator, and I'm co-host, producer. But yeah, Tyler started the podcast and then graciously asked me to join him, and I said, "Are you sure?" And he went, "Yes." And then I said, "All right, let's go. Let's get to work." And I mean, I don't know what, almost 4 years later.
Oh, yeah, coming up on 4 years. Yeah, I mean, we used to have a different co-host with us, or with me, I guess, and then they kind of just, fell off, and I was like, I don't know what we're gonna do, and so Dylan's like, well, fuck it, let's just do it with having some buddies on, doing things like we're doing today, and just discuss some movies and shit. So Dylan does the best description of what our podcast is, like the layout of our podcast, and I love it. So I'm gonna let him talk about kind of the layout of it.
I mean, the whole idea with a podcast is content. And Tyler and I, we've been friends for well over a decade now.
It has been that long. That's wild.
And one of the things that Tyler and I, just one of the things that we have in common, which I don't think it's stereotypically, you look at them and you look at me and you go, these guys wouldn't have too much in common. But one of the many things we have in common is movies. Like, I mean, we're the same age, we're the same demographic. Movies that he likes, typically I like. Not necessarily all the times are movies that I'm going to see that he's going to see, vice versa.
Right.
But we both enjoy the same movies. And being friends, like, we've gone to the movies before. We've gone to the movie theater. I asked Tyler to be a groomsman in a wedding post watching Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice at
the midnight showing of it.
theaters.
Cool.
The midnight showing. So, and after we watched that movie, we were in the parking lot. We were talking about the movie, and like hit record right after the credits. Hit record, and that's what the podcast is. It's buddies hanging out, talking about a movie that we just watched.
Right.
And also, sometimes it's not just me and Tyler. Sometimes it's a third wheel.
Sometimes it's a fourth and fifth wheel.
You can see the Facebook picture of Tyler and I in the wedding gear.
Oh my God!
So he said yes. He said yes.
I did say yes. Yeah.
Oh my
God!
That's the one.
That
was quite a few years, and
we were babies
for both of us. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
It's funny that you mentioned that picture, because I was going through these and I was like, I got to ask some questions about some of these pictures.
Oh yeah,
fire away, man.
Well, this one for sure. Who's this?
So dude? So that's another. I mean, that guy and I. He was the best man at my wedding. He is in the local band No Loss No Regrets. I just saw him play a show last night at the waiting room, the pajama party show.
That's awesome.
A lot of fun. But yeah, that was the first live show that Dylan and I emceed, which is Whitmore's Garage Fest. They do it every year. It started out literally as it was during COVID, and it was during COVID, and all the venues were closed down. So he's like, well, fuck it, I want to put on a show. And the drummer from Whitmore, Rob, shout out to Rob, that's my boy. But the drummer from Whitmore, he was like, hey, let's just fucking do it at my house. He literally went out and rented a porta potty and and had a show, a metal show at his place.
You're not shitting in my house.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it was. I actually think the first one they didn't get the porta potty, and they were using his bathroom, and then the next year they had it at his place. He's like, nah, we're renting a raining a porta potty. I
We're
guess we're not
getting a
doing that again.
Yeah.
But yeah, we that was the first. They Whitmore reached out to us to ask us to MC that. Because we're buddies. Kyle, their guitarist, I've been friends with him for quite some time as well. And they're like, hey, you guys, we like your show. We're cool with you guys. Would you like to MC this show? And it really opened up a lot of doors for us as well. But that's the first picture that we took that night. That was before all the shots and drinks were had, and my voice was hoarse from all the cigarettes and everything. It was a good time.
And the screaming, there's so much screaming going on. But who would have ever thought that, I never would have guessed in a million years, I'm doing a movie review podcast. Okay. Oh wait, I gotta go MC at a local metal show. I've played guitar in bands, and I knew half the people there from my past life of playing in bands and stuff. But I gotta get back up on stage, but not for playing guitar, for talking about movies. It was crazy. And then that night, we were introduced to Josh Peterson, formerly of Aorta Music Management, and he asked us to MC his annual shindig, Fright Night. It was a 3-night metal concert in Council Bluffs. So we MC'd 3 nights, and oh my God,
that was fun. Oof.
You always look at MCs up on stage, all they're doing is yelling the drink specials and saying thank you and getting people pumped up. You wouldn't think of it as that much work. But oh my God, after doing it 3 nights in a row, I was exhausted.
We were both
I was looking forward to the 9 to 5 job and the mundane boringness of life. I was looking forward to it because I was just beat.
It takes so much energy to be on, and then to get everybody else pumped and energized. Right. It takes a lot of energy. But I like this picture. I like this picture because, to me, when I looked at it, I was like, he's trying so hard to look hardcore, but you can tell that he's just a super nice guy.
Yeah.
Trying not to laugh.
Isaiah is a teddy bear. Yeah.
He is. He's
been
puts
on
up
the show before too.
Yeah, he did the Blade trilogy with us. But yeah, he's cool. He's a good guy. He's a lot of fun.
Well, let's see what's going on here.
Those are that's Fright Night. They're in the 100 block at Maloney's Live in Council Bluffs, 162 Broadway.
Oh yeah. I see the main road right here. This is the strip of the bars that go up the street.
Yep. But yeah, we had it was the 3 different nights. Dylan's idea was to dress up in 3 different costumes. So I did a whole zombie thing one night. I did the prosthetics with my latex with my eye hanging out and stuff. It was pretty fun. There's Bob Ross and Velma.
That's Tyler's brother and sister-in-law.
Is Bob Ross going to paint you a new eyeball in?
Yeah. Yep. Looks like it.
This looks like Psycho Killer Bob Ross.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah, you guys, it looks like you guys are up to a lot of really fun, cool stuff. And going through the pictures, I could just see the energy and how much fun you guys have.
And that's the main thing, man. Is it's all, to me, it's all about enjoying it and having fun. I mean, the second that this stops being fun is when I don't want to do it anymore, and I don't want that to happen. So we keep finding ways to fucking have a good time doing it.
Well, right. It's what it happens when you get 2 middle-aged guys that we have to we don't have to, but we look for any excuse to hang out with our friends at this point, because if you don't have a reason to do it, then you probably aren't going to do it. Then you just have the intention, the empty intentions of doing it. But it's oh well, it's for the podcast. Now we have to get together and hang out and watch movies and talk about it. We have to. Which is super fun, because it was I was talking about, you're hanging out before a movie, our previews episodes, or after a movie, which is after the credits, and it's quite literally you just hit record, and I don't do too much editing and stuff, and movies, it turns out. No, go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah, it's for sure a passion project for me and for Dylan, but kind of like what Dylan said is it's an excuse to just get together with buddies, and the fact that we're able to get some content, just like this, the fact that we're able to get some content out of it, that's great, that's a plus. But man, I've had some, I've made like long lasting memories because of this show that I'll never forget. So it's
Right.
pretty important to me, for sure.
That's okay. My wife just came down. Oh God, she's naked.
Hi, Megan.
Hi, Megan. Ooh.
So you're right. A lot of my shows, and I think you're saying sort of the same thing, is if you get some content, that's awesome. But I never make a show thinking this is going to get a lot of clicks. It's always like, this is what I want to talk about. These are the people I want to hang out with. We're going to talk about what we want to talk about. And if it interests you, that's great. If it doesn't, then get the fuck off and go do something else. I don't care. I just want to hang out with my friends and just talk about, fun stuff and dumb shit.
Yeah.
So what's this with the 52% listeners, 118% streams? Is this? What is it? These numbers look awesome, but I don't know what they mean.
Dude, so this is so you know how Spotify, I don't know if you guys have the Spotify. You guys probably do. Well, I know Dylan probably does like Apple Music and shit like that, but like Spotify, if you have that for streaming audio, at the end of the year they
wait. Is that a fucking Apple dig again?
Start a tally and see how many I'll be able to fit in the time that we have this discussion. But no,
as your video editing skills, we can just like push Tyler up out
get me out of the Hi guys. But Spotify has the at the end of the year, if you're just a casual listener, they have your Wrapped, so they tell you how many your favorite artists, how many minutes you streamed and stuff. Well, they have the same thing for content creators. So with Spotify, we had our Spotify podcasters Wrapped. So this year in 2023 we gained 92% listenership. We upped our streaming by 118%, like our streams that people played our episode, and then upped our followers by 95%. So I mean, it was as good as 2023 was. 2024 is about to be fucking wild,
right?
Awesome. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of good stuff. But yeah, a
lot of that is doing like the cool shit that we did in 2023. I mean, almost starting off the year in April, but we Benito, we did the live D&D. We did Grand Con 5. Yeah. And I mean, that was kind of the intro into it. I mean, that was me and Tyler almost doing what we do best, which is like just going out, hanging out with people, and like just talking like we normally would anyway, and then just hand them a business card at the end of the conversation, and then go on about your lives.
There's so many times I wish when I'm just hanging out with my friends that there was just a camera there, because it would just be, I just wish everybody could see how much fun I have when I'm hanging out with my friends.
Well, that's the thing with like, I mean, I'm almost 99% positive every office ever since the show The Office came out, like every office has said like, oh, we should put a camera in here, we'd make a good TV show. Chances are you probably would make a good TV show if you had a good editor and stuff behind it. And that's what like Tyler and I do. Like, this would be good content. Well, it is good content. You just got to cut out some of the burps and farts and
or not
and the long-winded tangents.
The things that might not be the most appropriate thing to have on recording for the remainder of the universe. But yeah, and that's one of the things that I really like about your show, Benito, is like from someone who plays D&D, and loves playing it, like as much as the story and the gameplay is really important and a lot of fun, it's still an excuse to get together and bullshit with your buddies and make up stupid stories. Like that's basically what it is. And that's why I love the layout of your show, is because I get to just sit and listen to dudes playing a game that I really enjoy, but also having fun with each other while playing it. You've got a awesome thing going as well, dude. It's awesome.
Where did the most rad nerd, where'd that come from?
I think we just done some videos here and there on just some like little clips of something, and I was like, I just really want RPG players to know that it's nerdy, but you can still be a cool nerd and a rad nerd and a fucking rock star and go out and just have a great time. And I said, I just want everybody to know that nerd is not just nerd. Like, you can just be rad as fuck and play RPGs and do nerd stuff.
Well, dude, Frank, what's the actor's name? Frank he was going to play Deathstroke in the DCU. What is his name?
Mangelio.
Yeah, Mangelio. He's an avid D&D player. Like, and he's a total badass. Henry Cavill, Superman.
Yeah,
Plays,
exactly.
he's avid D&D player, super nerd, also like a gorgeous badass. Like, the stereotype of being a geek and being a nerd and being this like, goofy looking, that's not the case. And it doesn't have to be the case. I know
Exactly.
a lot
You
of
know,
Oh no,
badasses
I
that,
lost my D20. My D20 dice.
right?
I lost it. Oh.
And that's the thing. Like, we all go out and drink and do shots and get crazy, listen to heavy metal, and yeah, like, I just thought I was gonna be, I was gonna be the leader of the parade of nerds of like, hey, let's go, let's just be fucking cool and rad and show everybody
Right,
that we kick ass.
rally the troops and let's raise some hell. I love it.
I love that.
All right, well, we're gonna talk about, and this is up your alley, and it's up my alley. I'm a kid. I was born in 1970, so when 1980 rolled around, I was 10 years old, which is the exact perfect prime age to enjoy all those great fantasy movies that came out, like Conan the Barbarian and Dragon Slayer. And there were so many great movies in the 80s that were fantasy related that I think it completely took my regular 10-year-old brain that was forming to be who knows what into this like just super nerd at 10.
Yeah.
And God, there's so many great ones. I got a list over here. I got my new vertical monitor. I'm so stoked I get to use it today.
Nice.
I'm just going to pick some out of, I think I have a top 30 list. And if you guys have any that, I missed or whatever you want to toss in there, for sure do. What year were you guys born? Like, how much older am I than you guys? I'm going to be 54 in June.
So I was born in 1990.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
I like how you jumped in there and went first, so that it could 91.
Yeah, so Dylan's a little bit younger, yeah, but I mean, but dude, with the family that I grew up with, like a lot of me, like from the age of like 6 and up, was watching like 80s comedies, 80s movies, and stuff like that. So yeah, and like I wasn't really like I never really got into fantasy too much until 2002, which when Lord of the Rings came out. Once Lord of the Rings came out, I'm like, this is the greatest piece of cinematic like fantasy that I've ever seen in my life. And so then I became obsessed with it, and that's what led to D&D. That's what led to Harry Potter. I was obsessed with Lord of the Rings before I even got into Harry Potter and stuff like that. So yeah. A little bit later than when you got into it, but
what were you watching then before that?
So I was big, and I mean I was young. So it's like 12 years old is when I was getting into Lord of the Rings.
Oh,
I mean I remember being like 10 watching like The Exorcist with my dad, and like so I was big into horror movies, but also like 80s comedies, Caddyshack, I guess not really 80s, but Tommy Boy, like those Saturday Night Live type Ghostbusters stuff like that. I was really into those things before, but then I found out Lord of the Rings, and I'm like, oh, action fantasy, that's where it's at, dude.
Well, and that goes along with the 12-year-old brain, like fart jokes, wiener jokes, and everything that's perfect for a 12-year-old brain. What about you, Dylan?
So, I mean, I guess I don't know. I'm trying to think of like, really, where was the spawn of all of it for me? Part of it was Saturday morning cartoons.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like your Justice League.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about it, and there in the Justice League Dark, there's a character, Etrigan, and it's kind of like a Hulk type story. It's a normal guy. But then he also can possess the soul of a demon, Etrigan, that like talks in rhymes and such. And he's such a badass. Like it's this like polar opposite, like middle-aged white dude, like just average Joe. And then like, oh, he needs to like pump up and save the day, and then he'll say the rhyme and become Etrigan, the demon. And awesome. He's such a badass, like throwing flames and stuff. And it's funny you mentioned the shirt that you're wearing, Tyler, because I also wore Mastodon and Gojira shirt. I did internet at their show at Council Bluffs, and I mean that's the music side of like the fantasy, I mean, Mastodon has a whole album about, you know, a fucking monster whale, Leviathan.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Damn, that's awesome.
Yes. Swamp Thing, Man Bat. Yeah.
That's very cool.
Cool. Yeah, it was. You said Dark, the Justice League.
Yeah, Justice League Dark. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that. That looks really...
and they were talking about making it into a movie at one point with the guy from Hellboy
Ron
helming
Perlman.
it, which would have been awesome. Constantine is like the leader of the group, which I'm sure a lot of people. Constantine's more of a household name,
right?
But they in true DC fashion, like a lot of the Justice League Dark doesn't have like your Justice League members, so they throw Batman in there, which is super cool because Batman gets to play the skeptic of the group. Like, I don't know about all this magic stuff. And then like Zatanna comes out and like does all these magic spells and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's pretty cool. But yeah, I
so
mean,
then
the same thing
Saturday
with Marvel.
morning,
I mean,
Sunday morning
Strange
cartoons.
Yeah, I think
into that same
Conan. Conan was for sure my intro to my, you know, my 12-year-old brain or whatever.
Last night when I was getting everything set up, I watched the Jason Momoa, the remake of Conan the Barbarian.
Jason Momoa did a remake of that? What? Yeah. How did I not know this? Okay.
I didn't know who played it. I never saw it, but I know what you're talking about.
Was it
It's
bad?
pretty good. It's a baby. I liked it. It was at the beginning was a little bit slow. Like, I think that they took too much time in developing. Like, they really want you to know who Conan is. They want you to know where he came from, what he's all about. You don't need to do that. Like, just put a big muscular guy up on there and start slaying some monsters and shit.
That is him. What?
That's wild.
Yeah.
I got to see this. Yeah. Did he look good?
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude. Okay.
I mean, it's a. I mean, you can see why. I mean, he gets typecasted, and I think this might have been one of his first movies. Babyface Jason Momoa.
Movie, right? He could have put on a little.
What was that? Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
He's a little small, but
good Lord.
He's just starting out, I suppose. It's probably his first movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll get there.
He'll get bigger.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I haven't seen that. I'll have to check that out. So Conan the Barbarian, was there another big one that you like to
from my childhood, I'm gonna say like and this really got me. It's not the best movie. I rewatched it when Benito messaged like, let's actually get a date on this thing that we're doing right now. Was Beowulf. The CGI animated. Yeah,
that one's fun.
Yeah. Watching that, I was it came out, I think I was probably 15 or 16 when I first saw it. And holy shit.
Wow.
Like I was learning about like the Greek mythology in school at the time. And so only because that movie came out, I was like, Greek mythology in school, I'm going to start paying attention in class now. Because just like all the stories and the big thing for me with all of the like RPG and fantasy is it's the lure behind it. Like, like it's, you know, the classic story arc, you know, like normal guy tries to do good and then the world's a shitty place and then he has one opportunity to make it better. And by God, through trials and tribulations, he does it. He prevails. Sometimes Greek mythology is kind of an ass.
That's cool. Hey, before we start getting into, I'm going to go through a list here that I have of some of these movies. We can talk about them real quick. I wanted to bring up Harmon Quest. So we literally just stumbled on this, my wife and I, about a week ago. And there's 3 seasons, and we freaking burned right through them. Each one is about 25 minutes long. Let me share the screen here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So
what platform is that on?
What's that?
What platform is that on? Is that Netflix?
Right now.
Oh, okay.
So Dan Harmon, who everybody knows his work for sure. Rick and Morty, Community. He wrote for the Sarah Silverman Show for a while. That show was really good. It was really super funny.
Yeah.
But so I was watching Harmon Quest, it's just these guys sitting around. It's Dan, his ex-wife here, they weren't married on the show. I think they were married for a whole year. And he's such a dirtbag, low life, freaking self-destructive turd.
Yeah.
they just couldn't last more than a year. And I'm not saying anything out of school because he says it all the time. He knows, and the people around him love him to death, but they all know.
Right.
And I was watching a documentary on him where he'd taken a camera on the road for his live comedy show, and he would literally just go to a comic book shop, and if there was enough room in the back of the comic book shop in a storeroom or whatever, he'd do a show. A comedy show.
That's
and
cool.
They'd play D&D back there, and they just recorded the whole thing. But at the beginning, they were talking to all these famous actors who had worked with him, and it was just like self-loathing, dirtbag, alcoholic. But then they'd preface it with, "But I love him to death, and he's an awesome guy, and he's very smart and a fantastic writer." Yeah. But anyway, so the show is just their dungeon master. Like I said, Dan and his ex-wife, and then for whatever reason, I can't remember this guy's name, but
is that the guy from Always Sunny?
No, okay. Yeah, I can't remember it. Unfortunately, Spencer is the DM. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so
okay.
Anyway, they would always bring in one special guest every episode. And like I said, episodes are about 25 to 30 minutes long, and they did 3 seasons, and they would play in front of a live studio audience. But what was so cool about the show is they slip in. It goes back and forth between live and animated animation. Cool. And the animation part eats up about 85% of the show.
Oh, really?
And
that's cool.
They play for 2 hours and then edit it down. So you're really just getting the meat. You're not getting kind of all the parts that slow down a game. Oh, God. It is the freaking funniest thing. And it's very adult. And just cussing, and it's so great. Some of the guests that they've had on were just, they had on, who played Scarlet Witch?
Elizabeth.
Oh, the Olsen twin.
Olsen
twin.
Elizabeth Olsen was on.
Elizabeth Olsen, yeah.
Audrey Plaza was on.
Oh, nice.
That would have been cool. So, I mean, it's quite literally like the animated part is like what happens in every player's head.
Like, exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really, really good. So if you get a chance to watch it, like I said, it's on Crunchyroll right now. I think that's the only platform that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That I'm on. But if you get a chance to check out an episode, once you watch one, you just hook. Because what's great is the people they have on maybe have played, maybe have heard about the game, or have no idea what they're walking into, and they give them a character sheet and tell them to just go for it.
Well, Dylan is awesome. 100% familiar with that. That's what you guys did at Grand Con. Is you just gave Dylan a character sheet and you're like, so this is the guy you're playing. Have fun with it.
Yeah. And I mean, I will admit that's the only time I've played so far. I have to say so far because I mean, time permitting, I want to do it. Like this shit was so much fun.
We should totally go to game. Get you two guys.
It was a blast. Yeah.
That you guys want to bring along, and it'd be so fun.
Well, I told Dylan before, because I do want to get to the movies, but I told Dylan before we went. He said that he was going to do it, and I was like, I'm going to warn you right now. I was like, when you get done, you're going to want to do it again. I was like, you're going to want to do it a lot. And like he got done and literally walked around the table and was like, I fucking love that. Like that was so much fun.
I was ready to go.
Yeah.
I asked Benino, I was like, so can we go back to our table? Like, not on stage? Can we finish this real quick?
Go play?
It's like
I just got some follow-up questions here.
It's that first hit of meth, and you're just like addicted. You can't stop.
I need it.
Chasing the dragon.
Literally. Hey.
Nice pull.
That should be a show.
Yeah.
A bunch of heroin addicts playing D&D.
Right. Well, we'll say Chasing the dragon, and then Princey will say, "Not the drug."
Yeah, right. a literal dragon.
All right, I'm gonna go through this list real quick. Let's see, Red Sonja, the spinoff from Conan the Barbarian. Ever see that?
I haven't even heard of it. Is it bad?
Brigitte Nielsen in it, and she played.
Okay. Oh God.
1985.
Whew.
It was okay. It wasn't amazing. I think. Well, here's what's weird: is Conan shows up in it. Arnold Schwarzenegger shows up in it as a barbarian, but it's not Conan. Yeah, it was super weird. He's some other.
Yeah, that's
He's
odd.
some other big muscle guy.
What character arc did it follow?
I don't remember.
Okay, okay, fair enough. Yeah,
Moving on.
you said Bridget Nielsen, and I kind of checked out. I'm like, I'm good on that. We're fine.
At 85, when I was 15, I was probably just jerking off to her boobs and didn't really pay attention to the whole story.
Fair enough.
Hercules, 1983. I watched that not too long ago.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, it was fun. There's just a million cash grabs on fantasy movies when Conan came out, and then it just rocked everybody. There's so many bad ones. Those are even kind of fun to watch too. Masters of the Universe, 1987.
Yes.
You guys, I remember watching that. Actually, I don't remember watching it when it came out, but I've watched it within the last year because somebody had mentioned how good it was.
It was in the last 5 years, 5 or 6 years or so, at a party. It was on and watched it. And man, yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's a lot of fun to watch. It's another one of those though, like a good party movie. Like if you can have it on in the background and kind of zone in and zone out of it and still really enjoy what's going on. But yeah, it's really cool.
Let me see what I got here. Oh, never mind. That's just the price. I clicked on it. It's just how much it is. Oh shit, I lost it. Where would it go?
Well, while you're looking at it, would you consider because I remember when I was young watching it, like The Labyrinth with David Bowie. I mean, would you consider that? Oh, hey, all right, okay.
Yeah.
I'll let you do your thing. You know what's up.
Oh, that's 100%. Definitely. It's number 9 on the list of 35.
Dude, so good.
I try to watch it at least, I don't know, every couple of years probably.
Yep. Yeah, my wife is obsessed with that movie. We watch it every year. Dylan, that might be a good one for us to do for when Molly comes over for the podcast. Do Home Alone, and we got a couple Christmas episodes possibly coming up, but we're gonna have my wife over and do those. But yeah, I think once a year we watch it. I love my wife's my wife's fantasy football team name is David Bowie's Bulge. Because that's like its own character in The Labyrinth. So
the brown stretch. So it's got Jennifer Connelly.
Very young.
I'm sure I jerked off to this movie. Let's keep a tally of how many of these movies we've jerked off to.
Right.
So we've got a tally of how many times I shit on Apple and how many times we jerk off to fantasy movies. I'm down.
Ding. There we go. All right, so Jennifer Connelly, probably jerked off to her, maybe not to this movie, but other things, I'm sure.
That's probably a good point because she was pretty young in The Labyrinth, wasn't she? Yeah, because there was like that whole controversy of like David Bowie being this old dude and Jennifer Connelly being this like young girl, and them having like some sort of like romantic thing in the movie.
We could do a really hard like side dive. I mean, because chances are Benito was also a minor, so I mean, then questionably,
that's a good point.
It's okay. It's okay.
Valid point.
All right, thank you for
trying to help you sleep at night, Benito.
How about the movie Kroll? That's kind of
yeah. That's one that I find like kind of hard to get through. That's a rough movie to get through. But I mean, epitome of a good fantasy film.
Right. And I agree with you. It is kind of hard to get through. There's certain parts for sure. I like that I remember reading an article or saw a video on that movie, and they had such an elaborate budget. They had such elaborate sets that it ate up so much of their budget. And everything that they had built and costumes and this, that, and then they're like, oh shit, we got to make a monster. We don't have money. And so then they built the creature suit, and it just looked like garbage. So that's why it's just in the background and a little fuzzy and blurry, and it never really makes an appearance other than sort of just not spiritual, but just kind of hazy, and you can barely see it, and it's this giant ominous thing in the background. Yeah. And that's kind of what happened there, but yeah,
I think that was because if I'm not mistaken, there's a very young Liam Neeson in that movie.
He was,
if I'm not mistaken, but I remember the set pieces, like the scenery and the sets were like amazing. They look fucking great. And then you could definitely see that they had to cut corners in other areas that would have cost money because they blew their wad on all the set pieces. But
They did.
yeah, like I said, it's rough to get through, but I mean, it's one of those things like you should probably watch it. You have to see it.
Definitely. And as a matter of fact, the what's that thing called? The knife thing that he has. The pentaculum?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, dude, it's probably been like over 10 years since I've seen it. It's been a long time.
I've got a D&D player, and he has two characters for two different campaigns, and both of them have that.
Nice.
That made such an impression on him that his character has it. And there's two things in that movie I always remember. The Cyclops I always thought was kind of super cool. I don't think it ever blinked. I always kind of remember like, oh, that's weird. It doesn't blink. But the other thing that always creeped me out is when the guard guys, well, not the blind wizard, always super creepy with his long nails. But when the guards would get killed and they would let out that high-pitched scream sound, and then that weird worm would come out of their head and then burrow. That always got me as a kid.
What was that rated? I think I'm pretty sure it was rated like PG, and it was like there were at my age when I saw it, like,
let's see,
there was some scary shit. Like that was not,
well, if it was rated PG-13, I mean, then Tipper Gore must have had a heyday.
It was rated PG. Yeah,
PG 1983.
Yeah,
wow,
it's wild.
Yeah, even the web part with the spider and the spider lady was in it. That was actually a pretty good movie for as much crap as it gets.
Yeah.
Oh,
now that I'm talking about it more, I'm like, oh, okay, this isn't too terrible.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Maybe I'm too harsh on it.
Well, the monster just kind of ruins the whole thing, which is supposed to be probably the best part. This one, I know you guys have seen this one. Very young Tom Cruise, legend.
Mm-hmm. Which one?
With the unicorn and the what?
No, wait, I didn't hear the title. What was the title?
Oh, Legend.
Oh, Legend? I don't think I have seen that. No.
Your age is showing, son.
My age is showing. Tom Cruise, huh?
God, it's beautiful. It is a fantastic movie.
Okay.
It had to do with two unicorns, and there was this the girl from, I think it was the girl from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Mia Sarah.
Okay, yeah.
Anyway,
I just remember the devil in it.
Oh,
like the big wide flat face.
Oh, that's okay. Okay, yes. Okay. Yeah,
all right, so you're back. You're back with us.
I'm back. Yeah, I'm back. Those prosthetics for that were pretty mind blowing.
Pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It has to do with two unicorns, and something happened with the princess. I can't remember if she took the horn or touched the unicorn. You're one of the two things, obviously, you're not supposed to do, and just fucked up the whole planet, and everything goes to shit. And then Tim Curry's character, the devil, ends up with the thing, and then they got to go get it, and it's freaking awesome. It's really beautiful, very beautiful movie. Beastmaster, probably not on your radar. 1982. I do remember that.
I mean, I don't think I've seen it, but I've definitely heard of it for sure.
Yeah, Beastmaster's all right. Oh, Willow. How about Willow?
Yes. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, because it's much different, but like whenever I talk about like Dark Crystal and the Labyrinth and stuff, I don't know why, but Willow is always kind of thrown in there. I don't know. It's different, but it's also like, there's like, like little trolls and stuff like that. So like, yeah, right. It's a good one. That's a good one. They just remade that for Disney Plus, wasn't it?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And Warwick Davis, the tiny person, he was in the new one too, I think.
Yeah.
Willow skirts the line of medieval and fantasy.
It does. Yeah.
Like, it's got a tiny sprinkling of the fantasy, but it really feels just more time period medieval.
Right.
Ish, but it's still good. I'd definitely put it on the list.
Another Val Kilmer, a young Val Kilmer was in that one as well.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Good job, for sure.
Dylan, do you remember that one?
No, I'm looking all these up because a lot of them, excuse me, I only remember because of like the cover art, like the poster from the movie.
You're dealing with a couple babies here, Benito.
I'm gonna do this. Let's do this instead of me just reading off what they are. Let's do this. Let's share the screen. We'll just go through them. Maybe the covers will spark a memory. All right.
Thank you.
Oh, Black Cauldron.
Yeah. Now that you're using your phone, dawned on me that I have all this technology. So I was telling Tyler I could launch a missile from all the shit that I have set up here, but
right.
Internet.
All right. Fire and Ice, animated.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Yep.
so tell me about this movie. Does this have anything to do with George R.R. Martin, or did he
Oh, like
rip it
the
off?
Game of Thrones was way after this. I'm pretty sure.
I
Like
see what
Game
you're.
of Th- yeah.
I don't
Game
think
of
so.
yeah.
This
Okay.
movie is really just about a traveling group of orcs ish creatures. They kidnap the hot naked chick, and they do it in front of this barbarian dude, and he just goes rescues her. It's really it's just basic.
Cool.
Is this another tally for a good jerk off movie? Is
No, I
another
didn't.
tally for
I
that?
didn't get turned on to Fire until only about maybe a couple of years ago. Is all.
Okay.
So no, didn't whack it to that one. Let's see.
Oh, damn.
Clash of the Titans. I remember that
Clash of
from
the Titans. Yep.
Yeah. The original and the remake. What'd you guys think of the remake of it?
I didn't see the remake.
Liam Neeson played, Liam Neeson played Poseidon, I think it was.
Okay.
It wasn't great. it was not great. But
not.
the original though was fun.
Yeah, I do. I remember all the stop motion though in Clash of the Titans. It was so good.
I'm a sucker for stop motion,
That's
like animation.
Harryhausen. Am I saying that right?
Harryhausen.
Let's see. I'm not spelling any of this correctly. How little fix for me.
Rudes.
There we go. Thank God for spell check and all that shit that corrects your terrible spelling. Yeah, he did all the stop motion stuff for Clash of the Titans. What was the other one? He did another big one. Gulliver's Travels. No. I can't remember the other one.
Well, that's kind of like up in your alley with kind of what you do in your day job, Benito, right? Like with set pieces, props, and arts and stuff.
Yeah, kinda. I guess so. I guess we print a lot of cool stuff and get to paint them.
Well, and they do that. When you do the stop motion, it's you've got to make the little figures and make them to where they're posable as possible. I always get stop motion and claymation. I mean, because they can kind of go together as well.
Basically,
but
the same thing. I think you're right.
Yeah. Essentially the same thing. I mean, it's the move it a little bit, take a picture. Move it a little bit, take a picture type type situation. But
right. All right.
Those fucking skeletons, like right out of a fucking nightmare.
They were so good. I watched literally just 2 days ago. I watched a little documentary on Harry and the skeletons, and it was just amazing that the work because he instead of just doing one skeleton fight in fighting the good guy,
right?
He'd have the shot.
Yep.
And he had to move every single one just a tiny bit. It was really a cool deal. He kind of rotoscoped it. So the scene was playing in the background, and then he had his models in front of that. Where's my camera? In the front of that. And so he'd go frame by frame. So when the actor would like throw his sword, then he could match the movement, of the. How am I doing this? He would match the movement with the skeleton sword.
Right.
But that's crazy.
The frame and then put his miniatures in front of it. All right. Lady Hawk. Remember that one? Anyone? Oh, sorry. Hold on a second.
No, I don't remember Lady Hawk.
Pew. Lady Hawk, I only got turned on to again just within the last year. And I think, Ben Pape, the guy that I work with, good friend of mine, he suggested I should watch it. It's got Rutger Hauer and Michelle Pfeiffer. And the story on this one is an evil sorcerer wanted, of course, to date the hot chick. And she said no, because I like this other dude. And of course, the magic user's like, well, fuck you. I'll teach you to not go out with me. And he put this curse on him. So during the day, Rutger Hauer's character is human, and Michelle Pfeiffer is a hawk. And they travel together, all the time. All right. And that's how they get to be together. And then at night, it flips. At night, she's human and he's a wolf. But they never get to be human at the same time.
Nice.
That one's
I I really love with fantasy movies the absolute freedom of being able to create any type of story arc and storyline that you want and
Mhm.
have it
You're
be
gonna do what?
fully accepted. Like it's not looked at as like, oh, that's stupid. Like if out of context you're like, hey man, I got this idea about a person who like turns into a hawk sometimes, and then this guy like is a wolf sometimes as well. Like people be like that's kind of weird, but if you're like, yeah, that's a fantasy movie I've seen, I'm like that sounds badass. Like that sounds
Right.
cool as hell.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then it's got Matthew Broderick in it, one of his very, very early acting gigs.
Nice, nice.
And this movie catches a lot of shit for its soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a period piece set back, in medieval times, but the music's super upbeat, electronic-y, kind of techno for the time of '85. So
Right.
that's about the shitty thing that people crap on that movie about. But
Yeah.
Conan the Barbarian, 1982.
Yep.
100%. I guarantee I whacked it to that movie on HBO.
No surprises there. Yep. For sure.
Oh,
Such
God.
a fun movie.
It's so good. That's the one
I mean,
that really speaks to my brain.
yeah. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger's acting is, whatever. But I mean, you're not watching it for that. You're watching it for the badass, he's the big dude with muscles swinging around a massive sword. Like that's what you're watching that movie for, and you get that in fucking spades. So yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah. My newest D&D character that when I get to actually play, his name is Ram Swordbreaker, the Barbarian.
Mm-hmm.
And his backstory is 100% stolen from Conan. He was
nice.
He was kidnapped when he was a little kid hanging out in the woods. He was playing with a bear. Some baddies come up, kidnap him as a little kid. Mm-hmm. They teach him to fight in the arena. He just gets super hardcore, kills everybody, and they're like, yeah, he's going to turn on us and kill us one of these days. We should just let him go. So they cut him free, and then he's wandering around, and all he knows how to do is fight in the arenas. And he gets picked up. He runs into a traveling band of adventurers, and he just hops in with them. So totally stole that story from Conan.
Sweet, yeah.
Heavy Metal, the cartoon.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Talk about another candidate for. I know that I've jerked off to that one. For sure. Yeah, 100%.
Wow. I mean, I'm not
Talk about another candidate,
but I'm not surprised that someone would jerk off to it. But I'm surprised that they would admit it.
Sorry.
I just don't remember if I did or not. Oh man.
Yeah, this movie I think is probably one of the few movies that my dad and I can both say that like we like, because my dad is very like I don't want to say he's against it, but he would have been one of those kids in high school that like made fun of the like.
Oh,
the
you like heavy metal? You like
Well, no, my dad was into heavy metal, but like.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Here's a quick story. I suppose it's a good time to say it is. So again, to date myself, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace came out. And I just remember seeing the previews with fucking Darth Maul, and as a fucking kid, I was like, "That's so badass!" Like fucking horns, and he's got the double lightsaber,
the double-sided lightsaber.
And I convinced my dad to take me to the theaters to go see it. And I remember leaving the theater going like, that was so cool, like, and like I was all jazzed up. And I remember my dad saying like, yeah, that it's just like the Star Wars I watched growing up. I used to beat up the kids that liked Star Wars.
Oh,
and I remember going like, okay, like, and that was I think the first the moment I went, my dad's kind of a dick. Like and just in that little aspect, right? I mean, because that was just that's how he grew up. But Heavy Metal was a movie that like I remember asking my dad, like, did you see it? Fully expecting him to go like, oh, only nerds watch that. But my dad was like, oh, I fucking love that movie. He's like, do you know Sammy Hagar? From Van Halen, not the first one, but the second Van Hagar. He's like, he wrote the song Heavy Metal, and then like he went to a CD collection, pulled it out, and he had the Heavy Metal soundtrack.
Oh, that's cool.
And so I remember like at that moment, like Dad got a little bit of redemption for like fantasy sci-fi. And now it's completely different. Like because I became such a big nerd and stuff, like I think I implemented, and like my dad has that inner struggle with like, oh, younger Lloyd would be making fun of adult Lloyd now because he's like having conversations about fucking like characters and their struggles in life and shit, right? So
well, like, to kind of add to that, like, and Benito, when you were in school, like you didn't get to see the kind of embracing of like nerd culture. You didn't get to see, like, that was something probably throughout your entire school that was like, people were bullied, people were kind of looked down on for playing D&D and for watching fantasy movies and stuff. We got to experience throughout, like, I guess I'd say like later on in high school, for me, I got to experience where like the embracing of being a nerd and not being made fun of for wearing Star Wars shirts, and not being made fun of for reading comic books and going to Marvel movies and stuff like that. That was something that I was able to experience, that it was a flip, and my dad was similar to how your dad was, Dylan, is he's like, yeah, I was never into that nerdy shit when I was young. We didn't hang out with those guys. And now, like, my dad went to see the Lord of the Rings movies with me. Like, he still talks about it with me to this day. Like, it's much different.
That's
but
funny.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, we're trying to play D&D right in the middle of the Satanic Panic.
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's like it was. We were so underground with a lot of what we did. You're totally right.
For sure.
So, yeah, heavy metal, good one. I've seen that too. Didn't jerk off to it though. That I remember.
Right. I need someone to bail me out here. Come on, Dylan, you jerked off to it, right? Yep.
No. And even if I did, I wouldn't admit that one. That'd be the one that I would jerk off to cartoons.
Let's switch over to which Disney
stuff.
Cartoon character would you jerk off to if we're going to do animated ones? Because I know mine.
Yep. Fair enough.
All right. Okay. Let's keep going. Okay. Next one I got here: A Sword and the Sorcerer, 1982.
No.
This is really a good movie.
Is it?
It's really good for the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't have anybody famous in it, but this is also during the time period in the 80s when the movie posters could trick you into renting or going to see a movie, and it was terrible. Correct. This particular one is really good. Same thing. The evil sorcerer wants the girl likes the hot dude, and the evil sorcerer, goes and gets her and kidnaps her. The whole thing. Pretty good. Highlander. Yeah. I'm going to skip that one, even though it's a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
It's good. We'll just give it that. Yeah. I'd probably talk to that one. I'm just kidding.
Right.
All right. So Dragon Slayer I learned about. It's weird. So when I was 11 years old, I'm trying to think what grade I would have been in, 5th grade probably. Mm-hmm. It was still, I don't know if you guys we'll date ourselves on this, but we'd have a book fair. Did you guys have those?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Scholastic, dog.
Yeah, the Scholastic. And so the only reason that I got this, it was a behind the scenes little flip book. And the only reason I got it is because it said Dragon Slayer. And I'm like, well, that sounds cool. I'm a kid. Let's check this out. And I remember it was a flip book, and it had not behind the scenes, but pictures from the movie. And then, it had a little thing underneath it. So basically you got this paper thin book, and it was the whole movie. And, but I remember thinking, God, this is really cool. It sucks I never get a chance to see this movie. And I did way later in life, like maybe 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Did you put it on a pedestal?
It held up better than I thought it would. Okay. And I really, really enjoyed it. And it took me right back to being 11 years old and flipping through that book and remember seeing scenes from the movie in it.
Okay,
so
that's good.
It's probably pretty high on my list of things as far as the pedestals go. Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
11 years old, definitely jerking off. Question: how did this episode turn into?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not mad about it.
Jerk off to episode. Anyway, Quest for Fire. Quest for Fire. That was. I thought this. Maybe I'm wrong now. I thought this had the chick who was in Splash, Daryl Hannah. I swear that was this one. All right, let's do some research. What would? Oh, Clan of the Cave Bear. Never mind. Didn't jerk off to Quest for Fire. I actually don't even remember what this movie's about.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Do a reverse ding.
Excalibur.
Excalibur. Yeah.
Classic.
Again, I missed this when it came out because it was before Conan, but I have seen it also probably within the last 2 years.
So would you say
Really?
Conan was like your entry point then? Like anything before Conan might not have seen?
Right. So here's where I jumped in at. Let me see. Was it on here?
Conan, I think, was 80.
Destroyer was the second one.
Conan
So
the
it was
Destroyer, Conan the Barbarian was 82.
Okay.
This was my jumping on point. Was
Okay.
right here. So anything before that I didn't know of until much later in life. It's probably making everybody do.
Which is crazy because that's how I mean, kids these days will never know that struggle. But I mean, you were just if you weren't in that realm, then you weren't in it at all. Like there was little bleed over, and it was things like the Scholastic Book Fair that they would try to market and get kids like sucked in to join that side of the universe. And they use things like their movie posters to suck kids in. That's what movie posters were for me. How many CDs I bought
because
when I was younger, only because of that. Yeah, I mean, Avenged Sevenfold with their skull and the bat wings.
The Bat Country one, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, no, the one before that, it was Waking the Fallen.
Oh shit! Okay.
I only bought that because of the skull bat, and then I listened to it. I was like, okay, I think I can dig it. And then I saw their first like their little demo, the sounding of the seventh trumpet, and I was like, that's metal. That's metal. And then everyone liked it.
That's cool. Yeah, and then video stores became a big thing when I was a kid too. But what's funny is nobody owned a VCR, so when you went to go rent the movie, you also had to rent.
You had to rent the VCR.
It was those gigantic, huge.
You used to have to rent the VCR as well.
Yeah, it'd come in this gigantic plastic case.
Talk about us dating ourselves. Goodness.
It was a giant.
Was it a projector and not a VCR? Did you have to spool the reel and have a wall that you could project it on? Is that how far back we're going?
No, but anyway.
It was just sad because when Benito, would jerk off, he would start going faster, but then he'd have to hurry up and rewind it because he'd missed the scene. And then, oh no, he climaxes right as like Conan's like holding the sword up.
If you're my age, you have got the pause button mastered.
Oh yeah, dude.
Oh yeah.
you know the lag of the VCR and how at what point you have to push the pause to get it to the exact spot. I got you.
Exactly.
Yep.
But anyway, what I was going to say was, renting movies, it came to be a big thing when all these movies were out, and I could have gone back and watched them, but I didn't because I started to slip into horror at the time. And then that's all I wanted to rent was just every horror movie there ever was, and I completely skipped over, all these great fantasy movies and figured them out later. All right, here we go. Mr. Fancy Pants.
Number 9.
Yep.
David Bowie and Jennifer Connelly. What a freaking great movie!
Which
I love that movie so much.
Because you were talking about the Harmon quest. Rick and Morty, they have the episode that is almost. They steal so many different shots from Labyrinth.
Oh, do they? Okay.
Oh, I don't remember that one.
I haven't seen that yet.
I think it's Labyrinth that they rip off. Like there's the stairs going all different directions, and then they have the stone, and you can't look at the stone. Don't ever look at the stone. You look at the stone, and then you're like transported and stuff.
I kind of remember that. You say the stairs.
And with the Labyrinth and stuff, you've got Jim Henson doing stepping out of the Muppets and doing like actual like really creepy, cool puppetry work. And same with Dark Crystal. Like those two kind of go hand in hand with me. And that's Jim Henson has such a when I talk about fantasy movies and older fantasy movies, like it's almost impossible to not bring up Jim Henson and what he did for like really cool, visually stunning, stuff in his fantasy movies that he was a part of.
Right. Yeah. I see here it says that both of these were directed by Jim Henson, which 100% makes sense.
Yeah.
That's the only person who could direct that and make it make sense. Knowing the ins and outs of puppetry and how to make it work and the shots that you need and your cuts and your transitions. And that's awesome.
And the scale that they did it at too, like Ludo, Ludo was what, like 8 feet tall, 9 feet tall, and just this massive thing operated by, I believe, a guy and then another guy with controls doing like the eyes and the mouth and stuff. It's insane the scale of what they did.
Right. And then little stuff, like it wasn't always, it was every
The little
ring.
worm, the little teeny worm. Hello. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, great memories of both of these. I probably saw this later in life, Labyrinth, and then Dark Crystal. I can remember seeing because my grandma got HBO.
There you go.
Long before I got HBO, and so I can remember watching Dark Crystal on HBO.
So out of the
Thanks,
two,
Grandma.
I mean, because if these are your rankings, how you put this up there, out of the two, which one? I guess out of the three, because Never Ending Story is another one that could be added into that. Like, out of the three, what would you rank those? Like, is this your rankings and how you would rank them in your favorites?
That's a great question, but this is not my ranking, but it's pretty accurate. Out of these three, it's funny you asked that because as I was putting my clothes on to come down for this episode, Never Ending Story popped into my head. And for whatever reason, in dress, I was thinking what parts of this movie took me out, which parts were good. For whatever reason, just lived rent free in my brain for a little bit. But out of these three, I have to go with the Dark Crystal.
Okay.
That's the one that I haven't seen. I don't think I've seen the Dark Crystal.
Ooh, Dylan, you would like that.
You would. Did you
Dark
watch the Netflix redo of the Dark Crystal?
I did not because I wasn't.
I'm all for doing like an original and then a remake, or a remake and then the original.
Continuation of the universe, the time period.
Cool.
But Dark Crystal is really fun. It's very unapologetic for being Jim Henson puppet. Like there's not one human in it, and so
that's awesome.
Masterpiece. But I'd have to go Dark Crystal number 1. I'd go Labyrinth number 2, and Never Ending Story number 3.
Yeah, that's pretty similar. I would put Labyrinth for me ahead of Dark Crystal, but Labyrinth, then Dark Crystal, and Never Ending Story to close it out. I mean, Never Ending Story also didn't have any like Jim Henson to it, but it's got like Falkor as one of the most iconic fantasy creature characters. It's so freaking cool. But yeah, those are.
Well, then it gave really birth to the hardcore. I don't know what their genre would be, but the metal band Atreyu.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to admit something right now about Never Ending Story. So, the dragon, Falkor. I did not realize it wasn't a dog until only about 3 years ago.
Really?
Absolutely.
It looks just like a dog. I mean, it looks like a long dog. I get it.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
Makes sense.
I didn't know that was supposed to be a dragon, and it was probably like one of those like 10 things you didn't know about the Never Ending Story and how much backlash they got. But I suppose if you go way back into the dragon lure, like it's closer to like your traditional Chinese
dragons, yeah.
And then once I figured that out, or from whatever thing I was reading or watching, it's like, oh, I can see it now. I totally get it.
Yeah,
right. Makes sense. At the time, I thought it was a dog. All right, Flash Gordon, sci-fi. We'll skip that. Now this one gets huge love, but I don't know that.
Adventures of Baron Munchausen. I don't think I've ever even heard of that.
It gets lots of love, but
not a fan.
Not on my radar, as well as Time Bandits, also not on my radar.
That's another one that I've never heard of.
Yeah, these guys.
I mean, I like them because if they're this high up in the list, like I kind of want to check them out just to see. Like I want to be a judge, but I mean, 90% Rotten Tomatoes. That's
wild. Yeah,
that's just pretty good.
Princess Bride, number 1.
Dude, okay, I'm cool with that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I mean, the fact that Lord of the Rings wasn't on this list really fucking bums me out. But I totally.
And you'd have to go up, Benito. But are all of these the 80s?
Oh, it's the 80s. Okay. That makes sense.
Dylan, what were you saying? I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, tune in for part 2, where we go like the 90s to now for sci-fi fantasy. But
right.
How many 90s movies did you jerk off to?
This week? I mean, I guess,
Right.
No, the Princess Bride. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's like, well, these weren't movies that like we jerked off to. These were movies that like Tyler and I's father, like these are movies that we were conceived from.
Probably.
There's a good
Like,
chance we're playing in the background.
Right.
The Princess Bride is not only like one of the better fantasy movies. Like that's top 5 of my all time favorite movies. Like that's
Wow, that's awesome.
dude. That that movie is, it's got literally everything in it. Like it's so good. Fucking Andre the Giant. Like
Andre the Giant's in it, right? Yeah.
yeah, dude. It's the classic Inconceivable. Like the guy who plays Rex in Toy Story. You know, he's a dude. That is a all around perfect movie. It is so good. So
it is. I agree with you 100%. And I think I picked the 80s only because I was thinking movies that sort of kicked off the whole genre that has carried on through to today.
Yeah, because I mean, really, before that, you don't have too much fantasy style movies. It's the 80s is really where that genre kind of
you're right.
off. Yeah,
but yeah, we should maybe.
I mean, now if you consolidate this list and pull it up like you've done, and that's a whole generation. I can 1,000,000% understand where if you take these movies, implement them like you're injecting like juice into a turkey while it's like cooking. I can completely see how when you open up that oven, you get a bonito. I completely get it.
Yeah.
Right?
These films formed the bonito we know today.
100%, 1,000%. So Princess Bride, I love this movie, but when I look at this list and I think, well, there is these here.
So would you put like Labyrinth and Dark Crystal ahead of Princess Bride?
Oh Lord, I would probably put. No, I think it's okay.
So here, what I will say is, I along the lines of fantasy, I feel like Dark Crystal and Labyrinth are more fantasy-esque with like the creatures and the magic and stuff in there. Like, I mean, you've got the magical forest that they go into in Princess Bride. You've got, Andre the Giant playing the actual like giant. But like, I guess Billy Crystal playing the like witch doctor and stuff like that. So there is some magic and stuff in it, but like Dark Crystal and the Labyrinth, that's all like a completely different, like you're in a different universe essentially, which makes it, I feel like maybe a little bit more fantasy-esque, but it's tough. I would have ranked Labyrinth and Dark Crystal much higher than it is on this list, like over probably The Secret of Nim and The Little Mermaid. But I feel like The Princess Bride is it's solid where it's at for this list for sure.
Now that you've said that, and that's an amazing argument, I am going to drop Princess Bride down.
Really? Okay.
I am, because of everything you just said.
And that's fair. That's fair.
Blatant magic. There's no dragons. There's no. What's fantasy about it?
Right. Yeah. So they have the machine that like they use the magic and the mechanisms to suck his life out of him. They feed him the pill to bring him back to life by using the potion that the witches make. I mean, so there are aspects to it, but definitely the Labyrinth and Dark Crystal are far more fantasy style than that.
Wow. Yeah. So interesting. I'm gonna do it. I'm going to move Dark Crystal to number 1.
Oh, wow. Okay. Even over like Conan and stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
Because, Conan isn't a ton of super fantasy, magic-y.
It feels a lot more not medieval. Man, I don't even know how to describe it. It's definitely a fantasy movie, but it feels
almost
more.
I would almost even say that Conan almost has, just because there's so many sequels and like spin-offs, that it's almost its own little subgenre within.
That's a good point.
Because it does have they all have the barbaric undertones, like almost like He-Man-y, if you will.
Yeah. Wow. Completely. Now, see, if we do that though, Conan the Barbarian, very much just really big dude, fights a bunch of stuff. But then if we go back and we do the other Conan, the Destroyer, then we've got monsters and magic and just tons of fantasy. This is a completely different feel
Oh
for
yeah.
a movie. Yeah, you kind of fucked up my brain there a little bit because I.
Well, like we said before we started, the conversation has to be had of like the difference between, fantasy, sci-fi, and just regular movies that are just out of the ordinary. I mean, it can kind of be all categorized as
Right.
some sort of fantasy.
I guess if I had to just say top 10, I'll just say top 10. Sort of mix them all together. It's fine. I like everybody in their top 10, but if I had to pick my number one, I think I'd go Dark Crystal.
Dark Crystal.
So Dylan,
I love that. I need to. It's on my list already.
Well, we should definitely pick one out and watch it, and maybe do some sort of crossover thing. I'd love to come on and do something with you guys on something that we could watch.
That would be
cool.
Well,
for our sessions, when we usually record, we usually do 2, maybe 3 movies. So I mean, you could pick. We could do Dark Crystal for you. We could do Princess Bride for me, and then Dylan can choose one that he would like to do as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Put out 3 different episodes. Fantasy.
I've been in this habit of making everything into like some large event. Where we could roll dice. I'm blowing my own mind here. I wonder how easy it would be to make a movie, right? But not all of it. We just take snippets from each movie and we base it off of like rolling dice. Like you take the plot of this movie, a subplot of this movie, the plot of movie.
Yeah, the plot of Princess Bride with a character from Conan. Yeah, I mean you got an idea.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I like it.
I'll smoke some marijuana and write it all out.
And come up with an idea.
I'm gonna roll D20, and let's see. How good was this episode? 1 to 20.
I mean 20.
And we put a +3 modifier because we all have great charisma.
I like that.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, here we go. Damn, son.
Let's go.
22.
Yeah.
I love it.
I love it.
That was so cool.
All right. Well, we've been at it for a while. Yeah. And I'll edit some of this down, but I don't think I'm going to edit hardly anything. If I do anything, I might just slip in maybe some snippets from the different movies and stuff, or some better pictures than that scrolly thing. That might be cool.
Yeah, I mean, feel free to check out me saying that I jerked off to heavy metal. That's not a bad. Nope, that's staying right on.
I mean,
a picture of all three of us with a question mark block over our faces, and the episode will read, "Guess which one of us jerked off to
heavy metal?"
Yep.
Tune in to find out.
Yeah, right.
Dylan, Tyler, thank you so much for being on the show, and I hope that we get to do another one at some point, whether it's here or on your show. Why don't you tell everybody how to find your show? Mine's easy; it's just YouTube and TikTok. But I think you just look up Most Rad Nerd or Go RPGs. I don't know. I'll put a link somewhere.
Yeah, right. Yeah. After the credits.tb for Facebook. Spotify, look up After the Credits with Tyler. You can find all of our episodes on there. Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, I believe, as well. There's do we have well, I don't think we have the QR codes on Facebook, do we?
For the tickets?
No. For the QR codes for
just search After the Credits. We're in the top 3 for sure. Yeah, you can Google After the Credits. We're there.
That's awesome. How about what do you got coming up next?
Take it away.
All right. So we talked about the band Whitmore that we did some stuff with. Their drummer Rob literally will not shut up about doing this movie Martyrs. Have you heard of Martyrs before?
I've heard of Martyrs. Hell yeah.
Brutal ass movie.
I'm not looking forward to it. I've never seen it. And the whole point is like Rob, like, oh, we got to do Martyrs. We got to do Martyrs. And so we're going to, I thought like, oh, this is one of the most disturbing movies that Tyler's ever seen, that Rob's ever seen. What's one of the most disturbing places we could watch it? My friend Josh owns the Malvern Manor in Malvern, Iowa, and it's a 100-year-old building that like
Haunted.
paranormal investigations happen there. There's Amazon documentaries. It's a spooky place. So I figured, well, if I'm gonna watch this, why not invite everybody?
Right.
So we're gonna sell tickets for people to come spend the night with us while we watch Martyrs live, and then we'll have some content from that. And then our friend Cassie and Jessica and Shannon in their podcast Heartland Darkland, which is a true crime paranormal podcast. They're going to be recording some stuff, doing investigations, giving tours, and we're all going to hang out and try to not defecate into our pants.
So that's
the
that were at Ocon?
Yeah, Heartland Darkland.
Yes.
They were at Ocon with us. Yeah, they were literally right next to our section.
At Grand Con as well.
Cool.
Yeah, at Grand Con. Yeah, that's right.
Awesome. Cool. I didn't mean to step on your.
No, you're good.
No, you're good. Yeah, so they were there. That's how we met. That's how this whole thing kind of came about. And then I think around May is the podcast's birthday. So in preliminary stages of planning like a little birthday party for after the credits. And then I think this would be a good. I have gears turning to do some fun stuff here. I think we should do a big thing, do a big nerd fest.
Dude,
that'll be fun.
Cool. Super cool.
Hey, man.
When are you doing the sleepover?
February 2nd. So that's booked. I mean,
February.
This is most likely going to be like the first official like announcement of anything,
right?
Like official February 2nd.
Yeah, we haven't said anything about it yet. Yeah.
Well, my whole 10 listeners will be.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to just make it to where, I mean, there's going to be limited tickets, but tickets $25.
All right.
And I mean, shit, you can get a hotel room. Like, I guess if you're driving and you're searching for Airbnbs, like you can, for $25, you can like get room and board. You know, you'll just have to sit through Martyrs and also like spend the night with ghosts.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah.
Keep me informed when those come out. I would come.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll let you know. Yeah,
like well, and it's right before Valentine's Day, so like you and the wife, it'd be a good like date night, especially for guys like us that and couples that like love unorthodox like dinner date and movie type stuff. Like this is that, but with ghosts.
Oh, nice. All right.
Yeah, dude.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it'll be a good time for sure. All
right.
That's Dylan's baby. He thought of the whole thing. It's gonna be a blast. I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Yeah, that sounds cool. All right. Well, let's jump off here. Let everybody back to their day. Let you guys back to your day. I gotta go Christmas shopping.
Ooh, have fun with that.
Fun.
So all right. Well, I love you guys. Thank you so much,
Benito.
And I'm gonna hit the stop button.
Yeah, love you, buddy.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so it's done recording. That was awesome. How fun was that?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was a good time. Yeah, that was a lot of fun for sure. I would love to do another one with like another generation of fantasy movies as well. Like that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we could do that again for sure. Like I don't even know what the next ones would be, but it's just an easy Google search of top 9 fantasy movies.
Yeah.
All right, cool. What do you guys got going on today?
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch football. My son's we're doing Christmas cookies and stuff today, so we're gonna make that, and I'm gonna watch football.
Cute.
Sounds like fun.
I'm gonna go see if I can't break out and try to get some sponsors for the event.
Nice.
I mean, the whole idea of doing the event is to like do something fun, but I mean, if we can all line our pockets and not go broke doing it, I mean that would be pretty cool too. So
that's a great idea. I wouldn't even have thought of that. That's smart.
Yeah, if you wanna come out to it with us and join us for it, like you most likely you can have conversations with us to be a part of the episode and stuff like that too. And it'd be a good time. It'd be a really good time.
I'll go right on the
I might know a guy that can. I think I might know a guy that can get you and a +1 ticket to come.
His name's Dylan.
Which honestly, I would be willing to give you and Megan a pair of tickets, but only like with the agreement that you both come together, because I have never seen you and Megan together.
Goodbye. Yeah.
Not
Dude,
one
I
time.
was literally gonna say, I don't think she would go, but I'll come. I was about to say, people are like, "You're not really married." I'm like, I swear that I'm married. I swear.
Right.
Megan,
That's how I am. You see me everywhere, but you'll never see me with my wife.
Yeah.
right?
But and
But
see,
no,
the crazy thing is
100% I want to
I
support
see
you.
Megan places. I see Megan places in public, and then I see Benito in places public, and never together.
Right? You didn't even see her just now. She was like, zip by the camera. You
Right.
see her?
Yeah. I mean, that's the secret to a successful marriage is
1,000%.
Yeah, dude.
100%.
limit the time together.
Happy jerking off.
Yeah. I'm gonna go watch heavy metal. So.
Yeah. Bring back memories.
All right. I'll shoot you guys.
Thanks again, Benito.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys. I'm so stoked you're on.
Yeah.
I'll send
If
you-
there's anything you need for the episode, I mean, just hit me up. Let me know. But yeah, and then if you're cool with it, maybe we can. I'll let you post first, but then Tyler, if you're okay with it, I was thinking like this could be the first episode that we post in 2024.
That's perfect. Yeah, works for me.
And then that'll give us time to do some promo and teasers
it's
and stuff like
perfect kickoff for us starting the advertising and the promoting of.
Yeah, that's cool. I'll do some editing, and I know there's some things I want to drop in, so I'll do that probably tomorrow at work, and then I'll send you guys the link. We can just post at the same time. It's no big deal.
Okay. Right
Okay.
on.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you, Benito. Thank you so much.
Thanks, buddy. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Mwah.
How I close.